The road to Pyeongchang 2018 continues in the Hochsauerland in Germany, close to the industrial heartland of the Ruhr and Rhine valleys. We are in Winterberg for race 4 of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Hello everybody, I'm Martin Haven, alongside me John Morgan at a snowy, blustery Winterberg track. And John, this has produced plenty of trouble for the athletes in training and in our first heat.
Well, the track's short to most standards. One of the shortest on tour, but the weather really affects this track. And up here at the top of the track, Alina, she has the track record at the start. But look at this first curve here. This was put in about 8 years ago. It's a zero curve because they didn't change the rest of the curves, which been here since 40 years. This track celebrates its anniversary on Sunday. And so this rest of the track is pretty much the same slow uphill section here. Really slow up start. It almost lulls you to sleep. But then curve 4, then the action starts. Curve 5, we saw some problems up here. Athletes having some issues with the exit here. Too much ice on the entrance, as they're talking about. Now into Kreisel. This is the slingshot effect where you have to exit on the exit here with perfect speeds. 9. This is where you get to curve 10, pressure 3.5, 4 Gs of force. Now the labyrinths, well, 2, 3 quite really quick turns. Now you finish uphill, through and down, and boy, it's an easy track to get down, Martin. Very difficult to get down fast, especially when there's snow squalls like we saw in the first heat.
Exactly right. Well, Jacqueline Lerling and Jelena Nikitina came out in the least of the snow with Tina Hermann and Elizabeth Varche. They're our top 4. We have a dead heat from the fastest starter and the fastest slider for the lead. Mimi Reniva, Katie Eulander in the mix perhaps for the medals. But further down, some unexpected surprises is not the right word. Sliders like Lizzie Arnold, who won the World Championship here in 2015, knows how to get down this track, 14th in the snow. Joost Lecomte, Kimberly Boss, neither of them made the cut. They should both have done. Kimberly was 7th last time out here. So the snow affected a group of maybe half a dozen athletes in the middle of the field. But Jacqueline Lerling, you'd expect her to be at the top of the pile. Tina Hermann there, her teammate, you'd expect her to be threatening as well. Elizabeth Varche had her medal here last time out. There's Mimi Reniva and Julia Kanakina, the junior world champion. Yeah, so some of the expected names are in the frame and some aren't quite. There is your other race leader, and she tied her own start record in the snow. That could well go. One of the big stories is for Korea. Rae Young-mun will be first to go because she's made the cut. The first time a woman from Korea has made the cut in a World Cup race.
She was also the first one down the track before the snow came in too, so took good advantage of it.
Exactly, and you've got to take these opportunities if they present themselves. Maria Montillani goes out second, and then the last two, Elena Nikitina and Jacqueline Lerling. Who's going to win? No idea. Rae Young-mun of Korea gets the second and deciding heat underway in Winterberg, Germany. Race 4 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. Korean coach Richard Bromley yelling her off on her Bromley sled, and a big red letter day for her. Makes the second heat for the first time in her career.
Well, she had a real problem in the start, curve 1 in the first run, and she had another problem with it in the second run. That little curve 1, a chink curve really, causes havoc here in this track. It's added a great personality to the track, which people say it's pretty easy. That curve 1 is a nemesis to this slider in both runs.
Yeah, well, she's not going to drop out of the top 20 because nobody below her gets a second slide.
Here's this Kreisel, up and down. Now she's going to come up in the outlet here and flap a little bit.
Well, it's a lot clearer than it was at the start of the first heat even. There's no snow in the air, little on the track. It has been sort of swept. So Rae Young-mun, 59.96 for the first trip down.
Look at the tight, quick turns on that labyrinth down there. 80 miles an hour, the top sleds were going. You're inches off the ice with your chin.
59.84, 800ths of a second quicker.
Yeah, it's more than that. 1200s quicker. No, it's slower. She's 1200 slower. No, she's 1200s quicker.
Yeah. And my subtraction's not what it needs to be. So Ray Young-Mun makes the cut, and that's the main thing. You know, she didn't look so impressed with her first heat, but she was saved by the snow. Yeah,
you'll keep your eyes on that. I mean, especially for the weekend. Bobsledders have so many problems in there. A lot of skeleton athletes like that. Too much pressure, drifts out of curve one. She's the leader, though. Her first time ever in the leader's box.
5th ever World Cup. She makes the cut for the first time, and she goes into the leader's box. Yeah,
she doesn't know. Hester had to tell her to get in there.
Well, next up is Maria Motiano of Spain, 19th after the first heat, 11 hundredths of a second faster than Ray Young-Mun. And she was 3rd out of the start shed in heat 1.
Martin, there's not been too many top 20s for Maria in her career, so this was great. Drift there, see? You have to be straight in that up here where the speeds are so slow. There is no room for any kind of variance left to right.
Big corner 3, and then you take a little left, and then you start to climb here over the little brow where the camera is. Now you see them coming downhill towards you. That's not an optical effect.
Yeah, a couple uphill sections at the top of the track and the finish curve. This is a gravity sport. You can't make any mistakes when you're going uphill.
You can hear the wind blowing across the microphones. It's still pretty gusty.
She made a lot of mistakes there. Curve 9, she's going to flop here in the end probably.
But again,
too bad. She
makes the cut, and that's the key thing.
Well, I think our Korean athlete,
I think she's staying in the leader's box.
Stay in the leader's box.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a slower run than her first. For Maria Montano from Spain.
60.04. Her first was a 59.85, but she makes the heat, and that's the
3/10 slower.
60.04 in the first heat, she wouldn't have been in the race. So she makes the cut, and that's the key thing. So Ray Young-Mun still wanting her jacket and stuck in the leader's box.
Well, here's the Kreisel. Watch her come up. She goes way up high above the marks, then down, then back up centrifugal force. That's not the fastest way through that curve, and you want to exit with a slingshot effect. She exited a little late with the skid.
Yeah, a little late on several of those steers, but she made the heat. Next up is Nozomi Komuro, 18th after the first heat, and she was 14 hundredths ahead of our current race leader, Ray Young-Mun. Komuro, much more experienced, but only an occasional World Cup competitor in the last couple of seasons.
I think she started off in bobsledding, didn't she?
Yeah,
a long time ago. But she's an experienced slider. Watch her exit. Nice. That's very quiet through curve 1, which is the first challenge of the track.
Now, she started quicker than the other 2 girls who've been, and she had a much nicer turn 1. So this, look at that. Look at the difference it makes. 56 hundredths up from 14 hundredths in the first heat.
Well, she started 16 hundredths better at the start, too, so that helps. 16 hundredths, and then it multiplies to about 30, 40 out there in that first clocks, and now she's flying down the track with an experienced look.
And look at the, look at the neat form as well. Good exit off the Kreisel. Little rub there.
Yeah, before 9s, which means she's going to have to steer twice there, and she was late. Now let's see if she can attain 79-mile-an-hour speed.
She could end up a second quicker than Ray Young-Mun in Korea. What a run!
Same start as the first run. And in the second run, she goes almost, Martin, I'm looking at the stats, 85 hundredths better, almost a full second. Now, some of these athletes deal with the snow.
She came out 26. There was a lot of snow and a lot of wind.
Yeah, so there's some variance here.
All right, so there's encouragement for the likes of Lizzie Arnold.
How about first is Japanese sled, second to Korean sled. The sport is going to Asia. Look at these pictures of the start. Nice, quiet load. It's so important. We saw a Russian athlete come out of those grooves in the first heat. Look at her entry into curve 1. Very quiet. That's why she's the leader.
That might be one of the best slides she's had down here. That's a really nice looking run. Everything works that she tried, that she didn't try. Everything worked. So Ray Young-Mun hands over the lead. She can go and warm up. Next is Switzerland's Marina Gilardoni. 9th fastest start. She was 21st out of the start shed, and again, she was really pushing off. We could barely see the athletes at that stage. It was so snowy.
49 in the first run. 44, 500ths better. Quiet steerage out of curve 1. This is another athlete who tried her hand at bobsledding as a brakeman. Tried a few trips down in the front seat and immediately chased her to skeleton.
Well, she had 2100s in hand over our current leader, Nozomi Kimura of Japan, from the first heat. She's 2100s up, so she needs to drive herself into the lead.
27.
Here we go.
Bleeding time back. Ooh, high. But she held it pretty straight around that Kreisel.
Good exit too.
Watch as she taps here. No, into 9,
Yeah.
clean. Oh, now she's accelerating away. That low line she had around Kreisel was very consistent. Allowed her to exit with a slingshot effect on the bottom speed part of the track, and she's pulling away.
77.1 miles an hour, quickest we've seen in this second heat, and a good run through the final corner.
58.75. That's 8600ths better.
Yeah.
Well, if they're going that much better, what's the track record? 57.85 in the first run.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Can we go a second faster in the second run here? Track record.
We were 4/10 off the track record. If Jacqueline Lurling somehow finds 4/10, yeah, could be. Well, there's a smile from Marina Gilardoni.
She's been not healthy the whole year, so this will be, she'll be happy with this result. She could even move up to one of the better starters when she's healthy.
Well, now we get into a really tight bunch of athletes. Between 6th position and 16th, we've got 1200ths of a second.
You mean 10 sleds, 1200s?
Yeah, 1200s.
And this,
so this is where it all gets crazy, really crazy.
This is one of the better athletes who got not a very good draw with the weather.
Dumped on by the weather.
16th in Lake Placid, 18th in Park City, 4th in Whistler.
5:36. We don't know what she started in the first heat.
Yeah, because there's so much. We couldn't see people coming out of the start house in the first run. For about 10 sleds, she was in that field of 10 sleds that really had a bad weather draw.
4300s up on our current leader, Marina Gilardoni. She only had 1300s on her from the 2300s from the first heat.
Well, that's relative to the start, but now she's pulling away. She's an experienced slider. Again, this athlete here, 4th in Whistler last week, on the verge of her first podium ever. Ooh, tapped there before 9. That's going to cost her, but this could be a run that could move her up, and it's so close, Martin.
Yep. Well, everybody around her was in that group of athletes that really got hamstrung by the weather. 6/10. Okay, so she's not gained at the bottom.
Lost a little bit
but
back.
still there.
58.41, so she goes
very nearly
almost
a
full second.
9700s quicker.
Not often do you go a full second faster in the second run. Usually it's the other way around. Track's been scratched up.
Well, you know, we had athletes here 2.5 seconds slow in 1200 meters. That's not
the Olympic
possible.
champion was a second and a half off. She won the World Championships here 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Big smile from Lelda Predjelena.
For good reason.
Better to go up than down for sure.
This little tap before 9, this cost her. She came out too early on 8. Now she's down in the middle of the curve. She's got to steer once, steer twice. More steering you do, the slower you are at the bottom.
She moves into a well-deserved lead. Next up is the Olympic champion, the world champion here, Lelda Predjelena, the leader, and Lizzie Arnold was just 200ths faster than her in the first heat.
Well, there's nobody that got a worse draw with the weather than our Olympic champion here. And she could smoke a trip down here. And as you said, Martin, 6th to 16th was separated by a 10th.
Starts 5:38, first heat 5:65.
And that's a second right there. That 30/100ths is a second at the bottom. She could put herself, she could post one of the fastest time of the day for 6/8 sleds.
She's going to need to get into the lead soon if she's going to do that. She's only tied with Lelda Predjelena. Started 200 slower, she had 200s in hand. Now she needs to start pulling away, but she's still tied with the Latvian.
400s. Now this is a bigger framed athlete, more weight, better speed, world champion, Olympic champion, coming to the bottom. She better fight.
Hasn't got the speed.
200s.
The Latvian is flying, and she's
This
only
is right
tying her
to the
for pace.
Maybe a tie.
77 miles an hour at the bottom.
100.
Wow.
That's what you could do in this track. She found a little bit better edge in that finishing uphill. Now, she probably weighs 30 pounds more than the Latvian sled. What do you think?
She was behind on speed all the way down.
Not on the bottom, though.
Yeah.
Look up, Predecessors.
200s faster in the first heat.
See, she got her on the bottom with the best speed.
Yeah, she was 100 slower in the second heat, so she wins by 100th over Predecessors. Now, how far up the order will it move her? She may stay in the leader's box for a couple now. We've got Takako Gucci, Jackie Narracott, Yulia Kanakina. Who knows? It's going to be a topsy-turvy second heat, no question. Japan's Takako Gucci comes to the line. She was in 14th place, tied with Olympic champion Lizzie Arnold after the first heat, in a group of 10 sleds covered by just 12 hundredths of a second. If she can beat Yarnold here, that will be a fantastic second run.
20th at Lake Placid, 24th at Park City, 21st at the Whistler World Cup. This, if she beats the Olympic champion here at the bottom, this could be her personal best.
Yep.
Great sound up top. It's so slow. It's just an uphill section right here. You can't tell. Just no chance at the bottom if you make a mistake up top here.
Last time she raced in Winterberg in the World Cup, the top level of sliding, 2012. So 6th season that she hasn't raced here, or 5 seasons since she's raced here in the World Cup. She's done other Intercontinental Cup and Europe Cup races.
And she's coming back to where we expect her. Predecessors and Lizzie Arnold are both going to fly by her by 3/4 of by a second.
She may just be in front of teammate Nozomi Komuro.
And that's a race within a race.
Yeah, there you go, she is.
She could live there for a little bit. That British flag could be hanging out down there for a while. She said there was 10 sleds separated by 12 hundredths.
Yeah, so basically it's a dead heat.
Yeah.
From 6th to 16th, it's effectively a dead heat.
59.36, 59.37.
Yeah.
Everybody else going a second faster. She went the same time.
Yeah.
But she went early. Watch the crossover. You think sprinting down on ice, down this incline, and then jumping on this little tray, a gymnastics type move, you think that's easy? Come out and try it sometime.
Yeah. Takako Gucci in 4th position. Lizzie Arnold the leader. Next we get to our 13th fastest slider in the first heat, Australian Jacqueline Narracott.
Jacqueline started late in the run.
Yeah, 24th. It was still snowing. She didn't really...
But not as bad as that group from about 11 to 18.
There was a little oasis of calm for 2 or 3 sliders, and she was one of those.
6th best start, 560, 556 in the first run, so... But in the first run, it was a game of chance up there at the start with the wind blowing. I mean, the weather, no track on the circuit has more of a weather influence than this track here in the Hochsauerland Mountains north of Frankfurt.
15th in Park City, her best result this season so far. That's another real gliders track. She's in 3rd spot behind Lizzie Arnold and Lelda Predecessors, ahead of Marina Gilardoni.
Still a good finish for her.
And there are a couple of sleds in front. Whoa, big bump. A couple of sleds in front that may not hold their spots. So 4th place, she's going to be behind. Oh no, she is behind Gilardoni.
So 17th in Lake Placid, 15th in Park City, 20th in Whistler. She'll probably finish 17th, 18th here.
Well, now here's how it went. She was 59.30 in the first heat, 59.33 in the second. So conditions were pretty much as good as they could be in the first run when she came down towards the end.
And then there was 3 sleds, Yarnold, Predecessors, both were a second better almost.
Yep.
This didn't help. A little late coming out of here. Watch the runners skidding, and then they're just going to touch the wall. Boy, where the speeds are so slow up top, you need to take advantage of every acceleration point, and that was not it here. That's skidding down there in the bottom into the finish curve. You can see where it's going uphill.
Yep. She shoots up the corner.
She's top 15, she'll take that. She's definitely improved from the last couple of years.
Well, that's the consistency of being on the World Cup circuit and training. Yulia Kanakina, our junior world champion. 5th fastest start, 5.40. Now, she's capable of more than that.
One of the better starters in the field, this little diminutive former ballet dancer.
Yeah. Oh, look at that! Start record ties it.
That means her teammate's going to blow the start record away.
Should do. Yeah. 5:17. Elena Nikitina tied it in the first heat. Kanakina ties it in the second, which means that...
You know, we've noticed, Martin, she just gives up a lot of time down the track.
Well, listen, it's like Alexander Chetikov when he started, you know, goes off like a rocket and then hits stuff on the way down. And the more time you spend sliding, the less stuff you hit.
You know, she's 15th at Placid, 20th at Park City, 10th in Whistler.
4/10 up on the Olympic champion.
This is a good run if she hangs in there.
3/10 up.
But she's small, light, probably 40, 30 pounds difference than Lizzie Arnold. In the gravity sport here at the high speed, near 80 miles an hour, it's going to be, well, she's going to be the leader, no doubt.
Or is she? She's a mile an hour slower. Oh, 1400s at the line, so she takes the lead.
There hasn't been too many times where Königssee has beat Lizzie Arnold in a competition.
Not too many.
So again, the world champion, the junior world champion last year on this track.
Yep. It works well for her here. That wasn't a bad-looking slide.
Might be a top 10 finish by the time we're done here.
Well, it might be higher.
What the Russians have been through.
Yeah.
Watch this athleticism. This is a ballet dancer. You think she's got a little ability to jump on the sled with some cat-like movement? There's our fan. The first time we've seen him. You'll be here at all the rest of the events.
So Yulia Kanakina takes the lead. And we now have 11 sleds to go. So a junior world champion and a World Cup champion next up. One of 3 different winners so far from 3 races this season, Austria's Janine Flock.
She was in that weather pattern.
But look at her advantage, 3,700s in hand over Yulia Kanakina.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yes, it is.
5:42, well,
that's half of it gone.
Yeah, but skid there, 2 out of 1 for this. The opening race winner in Lake Placid going away, set the track record, blew everybody away, didn't make the cut in Whistler 2 weeks later.
What a
figure
weird
that
season.
out.
What
Figure
a
that
weird
out.
season.
Yeah, figure that out.
Well, we raced in the autumn in North America. Winters arrived with a vengeance here today in Winterberg.
Look at the form, 100th of a second lead. She's better glider than Königssee at the bottom.
Königssee didn't have the top speed either,
no,
but
she never has
does.
The top
Here we
speed.
go.
She's got the top rocket speed in the first 100 meters, but here, this is an athlete who could challenge for an Olympic medal this
Great
winter.
lines from Janine Flock. This is going to be a 3/10 plus lead, 4/10 in front,
58.39. She just went, look at her coach.
Yeah.
Mickey Grunberger said, hey, put his hands up. Hey, we had a weather pattern in the first run. Put us back here. We should be up there challenging for the medals.
No question.
58.39 would have put her up there challenging.
The 4th fastest start. She started in the first heat 5:66. Here she started 5:42. She didn't forget how to run. You know, she lost a 1/4 of a second just in the start.
This wasn't perfect. She sort of skidded into curve 1 and skidded on the exit, toe drag to correct herself. There's a lot of time right there in that curve 1 to 2. Down here before 9, she gets away with not tapping. This is where she really got Königssee on the bottom with the high-speed part of the track.
So 10 down, 10 to go. Janine Flock of Austria is the leader from junior world champion Yulia Kanakina and Olympic champion Lizzie Arnold. Jane Channel of Canada, 10th after the first run, 2nd fastest starter in the first heat with a 5:27. Now, she was 4th out of the start shed, so the weather was as unnasty as it got.
Yeah, surprised she didn't have a good run. There was a lot of pressure there in that first curve. Great starter, 2nd best start we've seen. Medaled last time out in the World Cup.
She was 3rd here in December 2015. She was 4th in the World Championships in the February of 2015, just out of the medals. 7,400s up on Janine Flock of Austria.
Yeah, 6th in Placid, where she expected to do better. Then 11th at Park City on a track similar distance and length as Winterberg, where starters really have a control. She got 11th there, and then she came out in Whistler on her home track. She's from North Vancouver. She got a 2nd in front of her family. Great result for her.
Split the Germans, and it was a big weekend for her as well.
Oh! 58.24, 1,200s better. That's our leader by 6/10.
Right, 58.24 would have left her still more than a quarter of a second out of the medals in the first heat. So she's not going to take a medal today, but she might move up a couple of spots from 10th after the first run.
58.24. We're still well off the track record. I don't think we're going to see that here. Too much of that curve. Look at the skidding, toe drag, drift. Nothing straight there. You want to be quiet. Then here, well, we thought we'd see a little bit of this scorpion move on the finish.
Yep.
That finish curve's got a lot of memories for a lot of athletes. The track celebrating its 40th anniversary this weekend, Martin. I hate to tell you how many years ago I was here.
40. Kim Marmans of Belgium, 9th place after the first heat. Started 5:46. She was 6 out of the start shed, so she might go a little quicker, but it won't be a huge slice. 5:43, there we go.
Look how quiet she was around that first curve. A little bit of a toe tap there just to adjust.
She looked really neat and smooth in the first heat. And we're very close to the Low Countries here, so there's lots of Belgian fans, lots of Dutch fans at the track always in Winterberg.
She's going to need to stop the bleeding. She's 3/10 back, 4/10 back. Whoa, I don't see her coming. Now the question is, how many? She could probably only fall one spot.
Maybe one or two.
Because there's 6/10 separation from first to second.
Should still be a top 10 finish for her.
And she's a glider. She knows how to fly in the bottom part of the track. A little late there at 9.
9th in Park City.
Still hanging in there. Oh, it's getting near Janine Flock's time, though. She should be second. She'll be 5/10 back or less.
4600s and at the line, 4700s. So she got that last corner right. 58.73 slide, so that will guarantee her.
So she went slower, so she didn't have any weather issues. 58.34, 58.73.
Now her first run was definitely tidier. That was a little loose.
Looser. Must have been up top too. You know, she came around curve 1 so smooth. Maybe she did too much steering around curve 1, knocked away a lot of the velocity.
Oh, well. It's a top 10 and might end up being better than 9th. 8 to go, and we now get to Great Britain's Laura Dees. Last of our British sliders, Ashley Pittaway, didn't make the second heat. Lizzie Arnold already displaced from the leader's box, currently lying in 5th place with 8 to go. There's your race leader, Jane Channell of Canada, wearing the orange of Canada. Laura Dees, a Great Britain then, and a 5:34 first start. Let's see if she's down in the 20s. So the noise from the boys at the top. They'll be sliding shortly.
They come from all walks of life. Track and field athletes, ballet dancers like Kanakina. This one here comes from equestrian. Figure that out.
Yeah. Pony Club girl becomes downhill suicide tea-tray slider. That's probably not the career progression most mothers expect for their Pony Club daughters.
Good starter. 1 World Cup win to her career, Altenburg, Germany, beginning of last year. 300ths in the lead. Look at the feet, look at the exit here. Not perfect. You saw her flop off the exit of Kreisel.
She had another tidy-looking first heat. She avoided the hit off 9.
Yeah, and this Jane Chanel had some drive on the bottom. And Laura Dees going to have to match some speed here. 3. Still has a chance. Speed not as good as Chanel, so this is going to be single digits.
Chin right down. 800s at the line. Jane Channell moves up.
Eric Bernardis says that's okay. So Laura Dees continues with a pretty good season. 6 in World Cup points. She's got a 5th in Placid, 5th in Park City, 11th in Whistler. This should probably leave her close to 5th place standing in the World Cup.
Yeah. Jane Channell is behind her in points, a long way behind her in points at the moment, so she moves into 2nd place.
Kreisel.
Look at the way her head is
she comes up. Watch her flop off here. Watch her flop off.
She doesn't even look.
Yeah, so she's a little late here. See her flop off. She was green numbers. Next clock, she was red numbers. That was an exit, I think, that cost her some time.
She didn't even look for the line. She was pretty confident where she was. Next up is the 7th fastest girl from the first heat, 21-year-old Bavarian Anna Fernstedt. Spent her birthday week in Whistler, the 3rd straight year that she's done that, apparently. The previous 2 years was on the Intercontinental Cup.
You'll get the worst start of the competition so far, 14th. Worst start, but watch how this athlete can fly down the track. She had the same type of start in Whistler last time out, and she finished 6th. Whistler's the fastest speed track on the planet. Here, the speed's on the bottom. So if she gets perfect lines on the bottom, she might be able to overcome this large deficiency right now.
Well, she was only
6/10. No way.
in front.
There's no way she could overcome that. She might get it down to 20. But there's no way she could find 6/10. That's what we said about Jacqueline Lurling, too.
See how high her head is up. Compared even to Laura D, she's not as confident on this track as you might expect a German slider
she
to
got
be.
crushed at the start by almost 5/10. 39, she'll get it down to 20.
2/10 at the line. Is she going to be second? Third? 30 she is.
Jane Chanel. There's Jens Mueller looking on, knowing that his athlete just ran out of track.
Well, she, 21, like Julia Kanakina, this isn't her Olympic quad, but in the next one, oh boy, wait till they get that experience.
You're right.
But Jacqueline Lurling, 22, same deal. We've got a whole massive field of young sliders.
Watch how quickly she's on the slide. She's on the apex of the hill. You're seeing athletes run 3 or 4 more steps, and look at she's great pickup by our crew. That she's way on in the sled, way too early.
That's interesting. I wonder if she's
and her
just
starts,
got a little injury.
Or maybe she's injured, but her starts, she's got a history of sub-average starts.
Well, next up is Katie Eulander, who's got plenty of history on this track. She won here back as far away as 2007. Let's see what she can produce. Her last World Cup race before this, by the way, on this track was back in 2012.
On pretty quick. Average starter. 7th best start, 43, which is a little slower. She had 40 in the first run. She started in a favorable position.
Yep.
Right about when right after hers, when the snow came in, the squalls.
Really started to be horrible. Well, she's got a 10th in hand from the first heat over our current leader, Jane Channel, whose run is looking like a really good one.
But here comes Eulander, 14, 11, a little high there. And that's crossover there, head's way up, but that's her style, 9. She could find 900s down here with the perfect speed lines.
3rd place on the splits all the way down so far. This will come out of the final
12's
corner.
Drop more. Now she could drop at least 1 spot, maybe 2.
Head down in the last turn. She'll just take it at the line.
7th best time of the run. Falls a couple spots. Jane Chanel has had a marvelous run in the second heat. Katie goes 2,800 slower.
Yeah, we're now way out of the range where athletes are going a second quicker than their first run. Now they're not having quite the first run. So Jane Channel, the race leader.
Good form, but she gets too high here. Watch her go back down. Watch her come back up above the cuts. That wasn't the optimum line there in Kreisel. And if anybody knows how to come down the track fast, she does. She's won on the competition here before, and a little skid into the finish. Some good pictures. The electric eyes right there on the apex.
Jane Channel, Laura Dees, Katie Eulander, the top 3 with 5 to go. Canada's Mirella Reniva. 5 left to go. Race 4 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup in Winterberg. Martin Haven, John Morgan watching the action.
5:41 in the first run. 5:23.
Wow, there we
Remember,
go.
I was all over. I go, what happened to her in the first run? Because she's one of the better starters in the field. She went 13th. She went when it started to blow sideways up there in that start track. So her run was definitely affected by the weather, and she was still in the top 5.
Yeah, Lizzie Arnold went after her and started 3/10 quicker in the second heat as well.
But this is an athlete. The Canadians, all 3 of them have great starts. Look at the form here. This is the least experienced of the 3 Canadian athletes.
Yep.
She won the event in St. Moritz last year, her real first podium. What a way to win a podium.
She was third here last year, and that was her only ever race on this track. This is only the second time she's been down this track.
Well, she's got a huge lead. This could be a...
She could be in the medals again.
This
really
is a great
could be in
run.
the medals.
This is going to guarantee a Canadian for a medal just about. 58-1-1.
Canada 1-2.
400's better. Whoa, that's a good run. But it all started with the explosive 50-meter start that she posted, which was 1800s better at the start in the first run. That tells you how bad it was up there at the start with the blowing wind for her and about 8 athletes.
Yeah. If she'd been 2 or 3 earlier on the track, she'd be in the medals in the first
She could be
heat.
challenged at the top too.
Yeah.
Watch look how far she comes down. Look at her hands come across. Look at her launch. Look at her head come up in extension. This is a good athlete here, and boy, with that start time, she could definitely be a threat in Pyeongchang. Little bit of a toe drag out of curve 1 cost her something.
That's okay. She's in the hunt for the medals. Oh, she's doing the hulky high five run. There we go. We need to see a bit more of that. So Canada 1-2 at the moment. Oh, here's our third Canadian athlete. This is Lisbeth Vache, and she was only 400ths out of the medals from the first heat. Won the race last year. Can she do it again?
She started 12th. She started right on the edge of that squall. 5:31, 5:36 in the first run. Better start. Well, she, like her teammates, she's an accomplished slider, the most experienced. Third here at the World Championships in 2015, her breakout year. Her teammate Jane Chanel finished 4th right behind her, so the Canadians like this track.
Yeah, all 3 of them are going to finish in the top 6 unless Elizabeth Vache has an absolute nightmare. 600ths behind Mimi Reniva.
That was relative to the start, though.
She was 1500ths ahead of her in the first heat.
She's a glider. Ooh, that's not going to help. Look at there. She's already in the green, but she tapped before 9. That might affect her. If it stays at 2, it did affect her.
Is she going to be able to break into the medals?
Here she
Bit of a hit
comes.
there.
This is going to be at least no worse than 4th for Elizabeth Vache.
Oh, this could challenge Tina Herman at the line. 58-10.
1000 slower.
Well,
Take
will
that.
anybody in the top 3 go better than their first run? She loves that run. She was really happy with that, despite the scorpion kick exit of the final corner.
She'll do no. She's 3rd in World Cup points, 2nd in
Yeah.
Placid, 6th in Park City, 8th in Whistler. No worse than 4th here.
She likes that run.
Well, she won this event last year
Yes,
here.
she did.
You know, so she loves the track. Start. The Canadians are, watch her get on the sled and enter into first curve. Watch her steer to get to her point into the first curve. See those, that's those little rudders. Those toes come down and act like rudders, and there's no rudder there in the finish curve. That's a big time
Wow,
scorpion.
she only just held on to the sled. She was laid across it.
Great pictures.
There's Mama Rita. Top 3 then. Tina Herman of Germany in 3rd place. 1100ths off the tied lead. Lisbeth Vache of Canada is our leader at the moment. Canada go 1, 2, 3.
53 in the first run, 55 there, and boy, did she get a lot of that first curve, and 3 times she put her toe down in the exit to correct the steering mistake.
2 tenths down now. That'll go out to 4 tenths, maybe 5 tenths further down to the Kreisel.
That's going to be a lot of time to overcome. Now, this is the world champion from 2015-16, the World Cup champion also. She is a glider on the bottom part of the track, like her German teammates.
But this has not always been a happy hunting ground.
She's way back. She might get this back to 2 tenths, but she might fall back behind at least 2 of the Canadians.
Won here in 2015 in the World Cup, but her last 2 outings, she's only managed 5th.
Start deficiency. She got blown away at the start, doesn't have it. She might get it back in the 40s. She's going to fall behind at least 2 Canadians.
She'll be behind them all at the line unless she's got a shortcut. She's 3rd, so she pitched Jane Channel, but it is Canada 1-2 at the moment, and 2 to go.
Well, Jens Mueller, the coach, he's a little disappointed with this World Cup champion and former winner in this track, but he doesn't have to worry. He's got 1 ace in the hole. It's coming up pretty quick here.
That was half a second slower than her first heat. That was
Look
not
at that.
weather, that
Look
was
at her,
mistakes.
Listen to it. I think those pictures tell it all.
Yep.
But this didn't help. Watch the toes.
So
3 taps.
late.
1, 2, 3. 4,
pushing it
5.
away.
I mean, she definitely struggled in and out of that first curve.
She was so late, she barely got onto corner 1 before it had finished. Well, she's now in 3rd spot.
It's not what you want to do if you're a German on these tracks. Home track advantage.
We had a tie for the lead in the first heat to the 100th of a second. Elena Nikitina, the start record holder, 5:17.
Watch out for the start record here.
Look at the turnover. In this,
There it is.
5:12. I was going to say she's going to be in single digits. She's not, but it is a new start
She's
record.
done it. She's done it on 3 of the 4 tracks this season.
Wow.
But
Absolutely
like her
on
teammate
fire.
Kanikina, she's light in stature and doesn't have the speed on the bottom. She got beat by 3 kilometers an hour in speed on the bottom by Lolan. But she blows Lolan away at the start.
Skidding around at the top of the track, 2800s. The gap's come down from 3800s over Elizabeth Arche.
It's going to get close here in the bottom.
Will she hold the lead? 2800s to 18.
16 is coming right to the 100th.
Oh boy.
Both Canadian sleds had big speed on the bottom.
Little high there. Rough transition.
100th of a second.
Final corner. Will she tie for the lead again with Varche, or will she be in front? She's behind. Varche silver at least, last year's winner.
You can tell going in when they don't have that speed, you go into that uphill section, 800s lead, you can sort of say she's going to lose a 10th. This track's pretty predictable.
She will be on the podium for the 2nd time this season. The winner in Park City, 4th in Lake Placid.
And considering what the Russian team has been through, to have her concentrate and come out with this result tells you what type of athlete she is. But she's been doing this for the couple years she's been on tour.
Yeah. Well, she has a brand new start record. And now the hometown fans will be looking for a big win for the home queen, Jacqueline Lurling. 100th. Well, it often goes that way. What about Jacqueline Lurling?
This is an oxymoron in the respect to what the sport represents. With the best start time usually wins at the bottom. She's going to have one of the worst start times, but she is a speed queen.
But she knows the run that Elizabeth Arche has laid down. She's got to be better than her first heat. She only
Needs
had
to be
11
perfect here.
hundreds in hand.
Look how quiet. That's the same type of toe tap she had in the first run. Speed is nowhere near the top sleds, but the rest of the way down. Watch this bullet form. 31, that'll get out to 40. And then she'll stop the bleeding. She hopes.
She better. Elizabeth Arche is the leader, last year's race winner.
26, here it comes. You figure, how could she get a quarter second back? She's only got 600 meters to go. But this athlete here has got lines down a skeleton track that no one else can possess. 1200s.
She has not won on her home track.
Needs to get it to single digits to have a chance. There it is, she's got the lead. She's gonna do it. Unbelievable how she does this.
Well, she knows how to slide this in her sleep. It is the 2nd win of the year for Jacqueline Lurling. She goes away by a quarter of a second, and she wins her 2nd race, the first victory of her career at the top level in Winterberg.
She lives about 3/10 or about 30 kilometers from here. Family, friends. How she does it with this deficient start time, it defies everything in the sport. You need a start to win. That's all I tell everybody. If you don't have a start, don't try. But then she comes along.
She can drive. Of that, there is no doubt at all. There's Anna Fernstedt to offer her congratulations. And Elizabeth Arche takes silver. Yelena Nikitina, the bronze. 4th, Mimi Reniva. 5th, Tina Herman. 6th, Jane Channel. So,
Probably her mother's, probably her family right there.
so many Jacka hats and fan club members in the grandstand as well. Friends, family.
Probably her schoolmates.
Yeah.
Born and raised, not far from here.
So Jacqueline Lurling claims victory. Win number 2 of the season, win number 2 in a row, from the fastest track to one of the shortest tracks. She's come out on top again. That is her first senior level win on her home track.
Just defies everything, the sport. All the, you know, I just tell everybody, no start, don't bother.
Well, we've watched Tina Hermann doing it for years, and
Not
Jacqueline
like that.
Lurling has refined it to an art form. The snow returns. We've got a couple of hours now before the men are on track, or hour or so. Men's World Cup. Jacqueline Lurling is our race winner here. The second win of the season, ahead of Elizabeth Archie and Elena Nikitina. So those are the three women that have won this year in the top three again. Mimi Reniva, fourth, Tina Hermann, Jane Channel, Laura Dees, Katie Uhlaender and Anna Fernstadt round out at top 10 with Kim Meilmans. Olympic champion Lizzie Yarnell behind Julia Kanakina, 12th and 13th. So those that were affected by the weather, some of them crept a couple of spots back up, but in the end, the gaps were far too large for them to take their rightful positions towards the top of the tree. And the weather returns again. It's going to be a bit of a snowy weekend, we gather, here in Winterberg, but it is a victorious one for Jacqueline Lurling as she claims victory for the first time here on home ice. We'll be back with more action as the World Cup continues. The women will race next week in Innsbruck, Austria. Jacqueline will have 2 wins under her belt and a World Cup points lead as she heads to Eagles. We'll see you then. Bye for now.